Investors got a first look at Janet Yellen as she spoke to the press on Wednesday. We did see a little bit of a drop-off in the S&P and Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now here to talk to me about it today is Ben Garber, economist at Moody's Analytics. Ben, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
We saw a little bit of the press conference. What was the biggest thing that stuck out to you from what she said?
Well, you and I spoke earlier, and I said that the statement wasn't what people should have been focusing on. It was sort of this drift closer of when they may start to raise the Fed funds rate. Yellen was pushing back at that. She's saying, don't focus on too much on these projections. Look at the statement, which implies that the very low Fed funds rate will stay for quite a while.
Yeah, so the dot plot, right, versus the statement. Why do you think she wanted to put more emphasis on the statement?
Well, because the statement is probably a very specific outline of what they plan to do and all the different indicators that they're looking at. And I think it's fair that she said some of these projections can shift up and down a little too much, and markets may make too much of them.
Now, one thing we were talking about during the press conference was that we might see Janet Yellen putting focus again on the inflation target as it pertains to dropping the 6.5% employment threshold.
Right, because the unemployment rate fell much faster than expected. They dropped that 6.5% target. However, inflation is staying much lower than they expected. So really, she wants to shift focus back to this inflation undershoot. And even as the labor market continues to improve, they may keep rates especially low if inflation continues to underperform.
Now, one thing that you caught on to the moment she said it that the markets also apparently reacted to was how long between the ending of tapering and the beginning of raising the federal funds rate. Considerable amount of time is what they had stated, and then she said it could be 6 months. What do you make of that?
Well, she put a definition on what this considerable period is after tapering before they raise rates. And if you put that at 6 months, then you start to look at the calendar. Maybe they finish tapering in October. Maybe they begin to raise rates by around April, middle next year. And that could, if you look at it, put the Fed funds rate at a higher than anticipated level at the end of the year. It's perhaps not entirely fair to read too much into that. That outlook will evolve as the data evolves.
Okay, so maybe we overreacted to that comment. Maybe just some first-time jitters from Janet Yellen. Ben Garber, thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
That's Ben Garber. He is an economist over at Moody's Analytics for TheStreet in New York. I'm Joe Deaux.